Hello guys, this is Dima. I'm over here in the man cage with Mr. Twiggy. I'm here to ask Mr. Twiggy a couple of questions because he has sent a container 4 months ago, and he has some tips to give everyone, those of you that would like to send a container back home to ship a container back home, not barrel, not box, but the whole container to ship it back home. He has some good information to share with everybody. You know, those of you that would like to ship stuff back home, and those of you that are moving home, this is a good information to get. So I'm going to ask Mr. Twiggy. Mr. Twiggy, hello, how are you today?
Yes, how you doing, Dima?
And I have you here to give us some information about the container that was sent to Liberia. So please go on, Mr. Twiggy. My first question to you is, from the beginning of the container when you were sending it, what are the first steps?
Well, first of all, thank you for the question, and I appreciate you having me on your YouTube channel to discuss clearing a shipping container once it gets on the ground. But the first step would be, if you're in the States, to make sure prior to you sending is have someone that's you can trust, that's on the ground, trustworthy individual that can run after whatever information that you need to start the process. And so at the very onset, the person that I used was my nephew. I find him to be a very trustworthy person. So I had him, I know most people say you can't trust your family members back home when you're doing stuff. They'll eat your eye, but this is not the case. And I would say it's a rare occasion where your family member don't steal from you back home. But first get him, I got him to go down to the, the Ministry of Commerce to get what is called a import permit declaration, okay? And usually when I use the brokers, they try to charge me an exorbitant amount of money, but for the IPD only costs $25. Usually when I sent container, I think a couple of years ago, they charged me something like $50 to $75. So you need someone that's on the ground that's going to look after run after your container, take care of all the paperwork before the container gets there. So that's something you have to do. And when you send in a container, make sure you get what they call a CTN, which is a container tracking note. And that is required by law from the Liberian government, and anywhere you might be shipping in the world. A container tracking note is necessary to make sure to track the goods from when it leaves when it discharged from the port of origin until it gets to until it's offloaded into the country where you're sending it.
Okay. So that was the first step. And the second step, we would like to hear about the second step when they come before the container get there. What are some stuff you need to do? For example, the $250 that you pay here on to the bank.
Well, that's the whole process of trying to get the containment tracking note. That's what the CTN is for, to make sure you get that going prior to your ship leaving the point of origin. So if you're shipping from, for example, we're out here in the Bay Area, which is Oakland, California. That's where the shipment left from. You have to make sure that you obtain a CTN. That's very important. Otherwise, you're gonna have a lot of problems when this container hits the ground. It can cause delay, and you'll end up having your container in storage, and that's not the route you want to go, because I've seen, well, actually heard a lot of people where they actually abandoned their shipment because the storage that was assessed was so much that it wasn't even worth them trying to get the container out.
Okay.
So that's the first step. You have to spend that $250 and get the CTN.
Okay. And then when you send in cars, let's go to the vehicle. You send 2 cars, right?
Exactly.
And the 2 cars you send before the cars could leave the shipping line. What are the paperwork or the information they ask you for?
Okay. So when the person who is the co-signing, who will be receiving your shipment, at this point it was my nephew, as I discussed earlier. And when you go down there and fill out the application at the Ministry of Commerce, they're going to ask you for your packing list, that's on all the items you're bringing that's on the ship, and they're going to also ask you for the title of the vehicle, and you have to make sure those are there. And once that's done, then the co-signee will take that information. They'll give them a receipt and paperwork to take to the BIVAC. And when you go to the BIVAC, you have to make sure that you have what is called final invoice, which means all your shipping items that you're sending, including food items, and make sure those food items have expiration dates on them. Okay, and the quantity. You know, for example, if you have water, you have to list. For example, this bottle. Let's say you're shipping this water right here. You have to give them the expiration date for it. And for each bottle, the milliliters. This is 500 milliliter, and then the quantity of the bottles, and they'll total that up themselves. They just want to know the expiration date, what size. This one is 500 milliliter, and make sure you put that on your paperwork, because if not, that's going to also delay the process.
Okay. Yeah. And like Mr. Twig is saying, you don't have you have to put the expiration date and the little meter, and also on the food also you have to put expiration date on the food, and soda and any kind of food you're sending.
That's
or
right.
Butter, even down to the spaghetti you want to send, cereal, anything. Hi guys, we're back. He's still here with Mr. Twigby, and Mr. Twigby, my question is, how much did you pay the airline, the shipping line, before your container could leave the Bay Area?
Okay, that's a
How much is your deposit?
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very good question. First, let me talk about the shipping. The shipping line that we use is called Shipping International. It's based in Oakland, California, off of 66 Avenue. And a lady by the name of Mackie, she's the one who runs the front office. I went down there and spoke to her about the cost, and she gave me a charge of $6,500 to send a 40-foot container from Oakland to Liberia. And at the time, we decided to pay the money up front, because she was talking something about it may be an increase of $200 or $300. So we decided to give the money up front, which was the $6,500.
Yes.
So when we got our receipt, I think maybe 2 weeks after that time, she told us that the price had went up $200 to $300. So that was good. We gave her money up front.
Right. Okay. And after you gave her the money up front, how many days or week before the container could leave?
The container was scheduled to leave on the 29th of March. The container was brought, an empty 40-foot was brought from MSC to the warehouse, or wherever the office where we were sending the container from, on the 28th, and it was loaded by the warehouse people there. They, packed everything for us. We didn't have to pack it. Our main job was to bring the packages inside a designated area that they gave us. So we packed everything there, and then I think that was like 2 weeks before our shipment left. So when the time came, they packed everything for us. They put the cars in. Since it was 2 vehicles, they had once each. They put the Lexus underneath and the BMW on top. So and then they held it in place with some device to so it wouldn't fall or anything like that. They anchored it in place.
Okay. So is that parking that the gentleman and they did at the warehouse, is it including into the money that you pay to them, or it was extra that you have to pay so they can park the container?
Well, that's part of it, making sure that we bring the items, and then they take the items and put the items inside the container. The only thing that I had to pay extra for was we sent 2 jet skis, and the jet skis trailer, we had to give them a little something on the side for them to break it down, because I don't want to talk about it here on camera, but they did us a favor, put it like that. So we just sent the trailers as it was scrap metal. So they took their time out to break it down for us, and I think I gave them a few dollars for that.
Okay. So since the container left on the 29th of March, how long does it take for the container to get to Monrovia?
Okay, very good. This container was scheduled to arrive after it left here on the 29th. It was scheduled to arrive in Monrovia June 5th, 2021. But what happened was, I believe there was, a couple of factors, but I think the main one, besides the COVID, the main one was a ship got stuck in the Panama Canal, and it was a backup worldwide, because most of the shipping routes, I think that's the quickest route going through the Panama Canal, so it bottlenecked everything. It was like a standstill, so a lot of people waiting in line. It was a ripple effect. So the container just arrived, I believe, Saturday, yesterday.
Okay.
Today is Sunday. Saturday arrived, July 9th, I believe. July 9th or July 10th. July 10th. So the items were unloaded, and we made sure we contact the individuals who had their items, that were packages that was in the container, and they came down there. The individuals whose name was responsible for taking the container, and they ended up, getting all this stuff. We took pictures to make sure to verify that they actually took their items away. Because sometimes people tend to say they had this or they had that. So all the items we put into one place. We had the lady stand next to the item, took a photo, and then sent it to the person who shipped through us to make sure that she saw that person received all of the items that she sent.
Okay, what's about when the container got there? It's another information they call Asycuda. How much did you pay for that Asycuda before you can get your container under the shipping now?
Yeah, it's a whole that's a whole different ball game when you get out there on the ground, dealing with the people in the port, and some people are there. They will help you. Some people, just got to watch out for. They will try to take money from you. But last year, 2019, I think I spent like $100 and something for the Asycuda. This year, using my nephew, I believe I spent only $30 for that. And then when he went, prior to going to the Asycuda, once you leave the Ministry of Commerce with the import declaration, you got to take that to BIVAC. Then BIVAC will take all your items that's on your final invoice, which is all of your packing lists with the prices, quantities, as Etta mentioned, the food, the expiration date, everything that you have on there listed correctly, right? All those items have to match, your CTN or your bill of lading. Your bill of lading and the BIVAC quotation, they have to match. For example, the error that I made, the mistake I made, I had 172 items, 174 items on the bill of lading, but on the final invoice, once it was calculated, it was 194. So I had to spend additional money to have them send it back to BIVAC to correct it, and then come back to the Asycuda guy to input it into the system, so we can get the final duties and fees that we have to pay.
So, okay, so how much was the total you paid on the cars and the item that were in the container?
Well, the total bill, okay, from the information that BIVAC put out, it was supposed to be, I think, close to $6,000. It's like $5,983. But after it went through the Asycuda system, which is supposed to be done automatically, they just put it in, and that system is supposed to generate the fees. It came out to $5,823. So we saved $176, if you want to call it saving. But it was less than what we initially thought when it went through BIVAC.
Okay. And also, when you send in cars, do they charge you when the car and the year of the car?
Okay, before I talk about that, let me just briefly talk about how they value the vehicles. If the vehicle is over 10 years and you send it, you have to pay a penalty. Okay, that's an extra fee that you have to pay for that. When BIVAC assess the value of the vehicle, they go by Kelly Blue Book. So if your car is wrecked and banged up and it's not looking like it's worth $4,000 or $5,000, they don't go by that. They go by what year it is and the mileage it has on the vehicle. And then they input it into their computer, and it'll pull up, just like you would do here, it'll pull up the value of what that vehicle is worth. And that's one fee for one vehicle. And like I said, based on how many years it is, they will charge you an extra fee for that. So for the Lexus, I believe I paid $1,800 for the duties and the fees. And then the BMW, I think that was $1,400 plus the duties and the fees for that. Mm-hmm. And then once you finish paying that off, custom still, which is I can't understand, because custom still wants some money.
Right.
So you have to pay customs to get the car out, and what they'll do is they'll waive the highest amount and let you pay the lowest car. So let's say if you have two vehicles, the one has the highest amount, they'll give you, they'll remove that one off, and then you'll pay the lesser amount, the lesser of the vehicle's custom fee.
Okay.
And that's 4% of the value of the car.
So I have asked Mr. Toby the questions that I really wanted to ask, and this last question. So Mr. Toby, how do you feel when going through all the hassle of getting the shipment there, paying the money for the guys and to go out there? Was it stressful or was it less stressful?
Well, sending the container was not really stressful, but what was stressful for me was worrying about would the container clear within the 5 days it hits the port, because that's when it starts going into what they call demurrage, which is storage. And I just knew if it started going to storage, it's going to get more expensive, to get out. So, that process was stressful. And then also remember, you have to pay what they call a delivery order. So when your container gets there, you have to pay a delivery order. Had to pay a delivery order of I think $200 or $380 was the delivery order, and we have to pay a container fee to make sure you bring the container back. That fee is refundable though. That charge is $300. It's refundable,
right,
on a 40-foot container.
Okay.
So if I was to total up everything, just to ship a 40-foot container based on the items that we had in there, a lot of household goods, 2 cars, 2 jet skis, it came out to $8,000. Hold on, I can tell you right now. Around $8,000. Let's see.
Unknown caller.
It came out to $8,691.57, and that's including the sending fee of the money going back and forth. But the actual container's cost itself is $8,363.16. So, you do the math.
Okay, and when the container arrive to the house, how much do you pay for them to take those cars down from the container?
Okay, good question. Inside the clearing fee, I can give you the breakdown of all the fees and the money that was spent. Okay, so as I discussed earlier, the container deposit, to make sure you return the container, that's $300. The transportation for the vehicle to be taken by a truck, that's $350. For the ramps, it's $50 per car. No, excuse me, $25 a car and $50 for 2 cars that we paid. And then they have the people who can bring the cars down, unstuffers they call themselves. So that was $100 for both cars, $50 a car. Then as we spoke earlier, the custom duties was $5,823.16. And then, little money on the side I had to give my nephew, because he didn't have a broker license, but he was a co-signee, so he had to get somebody like a broker to go in there with him. And sometimes the people at the gates, if they want to chub from you, you have to give them a little something. So he used some of the excess money that we had, or money that was overage, $10 every time to enter the port. So, and I think he had to go in and out of there about 3 or 4 times. So you add that up, that's about $30, $40. Then APM Terminal had their own fee. Everybody's chubbing. Everybody wants their little cut. So APM Terminal, I had to pay money to them. The handling fee is $340 for $340. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me back up. For the MSC shipping line, spent over there was $457. After I finished spending money on this side to send the container for $6,500, I had to give them an extra $457, which included the telex release. I had to spend $55 so they can do the paperwork. And imagine, that's because I didn't have the original. But the shipping company themselves did not give me the original. So I don't see why they would charge me another $55. But at that point, I just wanted everything to be done with. Okay, the surcharge, they call it a marine safety surcharge. I had to spend $20 on that. The import line, port handling fee, that was $340. The document fee, that was $52. And the container deposit, like I said earlier, was $300. So it just keeps going.
And also, Mr. Twiggy, when the container got in your yard, did someone follow your container in order, because there was no BIVAC, So you have to, they have to send someone behind that container, right?
That's true.
And did you pay any money to those people?
The chief examiner will follow the container and he will assign officers to follow the container. And once the container gets on the ground, he'll be there to witness the seal being broken so he can inspect what's coming out, match it up with what your paperwork has or says. And then if everything is clear, there's no issue. If something is not correct, then you have a problem.
Okay.
But at least your container's in your ground, in your inside of your yard. So it's better to, if you can have it done that way, it's better to do it that way.
Okay, guys, we are done asking Mr. Twiggy today about the shipping information, and also don't be scared and don't think when you send your container, sometimes things is good, and sometimes, what happens to us, it might not happen to you. Where we go through, maybe you might go through less stress. So if you're shipping, we just want to give some information to all of you guys out there to be prepared when you're about to ship home, more especially some of you that are thinking about moving home. So you can save up and be ready for what you're about to face. So we would like to say thanks to Mr. Twiggy today for giving that information out.
Sure.
Mr. Twiggy, thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
And I'm glad to have you here today with me. And also, please do not forget to subscribe. Please subscribe, hit the red button, subscribe, share, and comment. And be blessed. Today Sunday, every day throughout the week. We pray to go to work, come home, and be safe. All the family be safe. And please subscribe. And thank you very much.
So that is the container. We are leaving APN terminal. We are on our way out. Let's go.
Yeah, so that's it.
My lowest speed 25 to 30. I'm running my lowest speed, sir, just to be in touch with the container.
Yeah, good morning, cousin Etta. The container has entered. For the driver enter, we head, but we'll see what to do. How to offload him. We're waiting for the men that get the iron, and the cars will come down on. This is the container is in the yard. This is the view of the whole yard. The view of the whole yard. All the manpowers are standing by. Thank you.
So, good morning to us. It's the morning time. The container just open. I think you can see the two cars, one down and one up. So we are getting ready to off the container in the compound. I think you can see. So the people are warming themselves to bring it down.